Well, much of Shreveport's history rests at Oakland Cemetery. Inside the gates, you'll find everything from proud stories of war heroes to tragic tales from a massive yellow fever outbreak. Our Jamie Ostroff found something a bit more personal.
I've called Shreveport home for 2 years. Still have a few things to learn, though. Last month, I was exploring on a weekend, and I visited Oakland Cemetery. It's truly a remarkable place, but most remarkable to me was the Hebrew Rest section. You see, I am Jewish, which puts me in pretty rare company here in Shreveport. So when I saw dozens of Jewish graves over 150 years old, I had to know more. So what I have for you this evening is a story of faith, tradition, and the American dream, which made our community what it is today. From towering monuments honoring Shreveport's bravest, richest, and most powerful, to the macabre yellow fever mound where hundreds of people were buried during the city's darkest days, there is, no doubt, a lot to take in at Oakland Cemetery.
The ones that you find in Oakland, they each tell a great story, remarkable stories.
And the graves behind this mangled, buried gate are no exception. But unlike many of the monuments at Oakland, most of these markers are crumbling. There are no descendants to care for them. This is the Hebrew Rest section.
The people that are there were the pioneers.
LSU Shreveport History Chair Gary Joyner has researched and written extensively about Oakland Cemetery and the people who lie there.
Hebrew Rest #1 is really a jewel.
From heroes,
Handsome man, he was a captain in the Confederacy.
To businessmen,
Very prosperous merchant, very interesting man.
to leaders.
Father was Mayor of Shreveport.
These stories are ones of opportunity.
Shreveport was a port. It had a need for merchants. It had a need for goods. It had a need for people who were industrious. And the Jewish community fit every last bit of that.
Arriving from Europe by way of the Mississippi, Jewish settlers thrived in Shreveport and shared their success with the community. Captain Simon Levy, born in France in 1839, he fought for the Confederacy, co-founded Commercial National Bank, and brought the Kansas City Southern Railroad to Shreveport. Isaac Kahn, also from France, became one of Shreveport's most prominent businessmen. His son Leon went on to serve on the Shreveport City Council. His other son, Arthur, was president of Shreveport National Bank. Ed and Ben Jacobs from Prussia established a successful business in the cotton and banking industries, contributing to Shreveport's downtown landscape. Their only building still standing is now the Spring Street Museum. The Jacobs brothers are buried just outside Hebrew Rest. That's because they married Baptist women from East Texas. Their story echoes many from Shreveport's once booming Jewish population.
And we've had some remarkable families, and many of them are still around. They're not necessarily Jewish anymore.
Joyner says many of Shreveport's Jews married out of the faith, left or died during the yellow fever epidemic, or simply followed opportunities elsewhere.
Left, went to law school, went to med school.
Once perhaps in the thousands, Shreveport's Jewish population has significantly declined.
I'm not sure about families. We estimate around 400 individuals.
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
But as Rabbi Sidney Rubenstein of Shreveport's Conservative Synagogue explains, remembrance, tradition, and perseverance are major tenets of the Jewish faith.
And so our job as the Jewish people is to keep the values of our ancestors present today in a way that not only we feel responsible, but those who come after us will feel responsible as well.
In fact, Rubenstein describes Shreveport's Jewish community as among the most dedicated she's ever seen.
There's really a much bigger proportion of people who are dedicated because we are the ones.
And while the times and demographics have changed, the values have not. Rubenstein says Shreveport remains just as good a home to people of differing faiths.
But making sure that people know that it's their responsibility to share their voice and to stand up for what it is they believe in, how they can make the world a better place.
In all, there are 4 Hebrew rest sections in Shreveport cemeteries. Jamie Ostroff, KTBS 3 News.